or I'm gonna become. The audience will be here right now. Oh, crud! Hello, everyone. I'm Nurse Worse. I was created to help the doctor with his schemes and concoctions, which usually involves all the clerical work. Sorry about that outburst. We're dealing with some electrical work. But the show must go on, as they say, and it looks like the doctor is allowing me to host this time. So let's get started, and I'll tell you all about how our concoctions are created. Here we go! All of our concoctions go through a simple 5-step process: sketching, line art, flat color, shading, and polishing. Right now, we're starting the sketching phase of our concoction. This is where we construct the bones that make up the character made here. Once the bones are all in place, that's where we start defining the body shape. Typically, you want to use a red or blue brush when sketching. Red stands out on white backgrounds, while blue is easier on the eyes if your screen is bright. So it comes down to preference there. So now we move on to the line art phase. This is where we draw using a black brush on a layer above the sketch layers. Be extra sure you're on a new layer and not drawing directly on your sketch layer. It'll only hurt that much worse when you realize the mistake. Out of all the phases, line art is probably the most time-consuming process, but have patience and you'll get through it. Really nailing your line art will set the tone for the rest of the piece. Now, brush weight can be key for your line art. The doctor favors using a brush size of 5 to 10 pixels, depending on the style of the picture, but you can use a size that fits your own style. Once the line art is done, we move on to flat color. This is where we first have to put down a base coat. A neat way to do this is using your magic wand tool and selecting everything you don't want colored outside the line art. You can then invert your selection, and on a new layer under the line art, use your fill or bucket tool to fill the selected space white. This is your base coat, and will make seeing where your colors are going better. Word from the wise, though. You have to go in and use the eraser tool to clean up any excess white that bleeds into tight spots, like these, before you start going on to coloring. It's time to add some shading. There's 2 ways the doctor likes to do this. I'm gonna share the easy method this time around, and save a more advanced technique in a later episode. To do this technique, take your base layer and duplicate it. You can do this in the layer menu, or dragging your base layer over this icon. Move the new base layer over the colored layer like so, and set the layer property to multiply. Now you just take a color, and with varying sizes of brushes, paint in where you want your shadows to go. It's best to choose a somewhat desaturated color of whatever the dominant color of either the character or environment. For the example here, we're using a slight dark and desaturated green, but use your own judgment when trying to do this with your own work. Using a similar method, we can use the magic wand tool here to select areas inside the line art. And on another new layer below the sketch layer, you can use the bucket tool to fill the selected areas with the color of your choice. Do this for all the colors until you're satisfied. Once again, zoom in and fill in any spaces the selection didn't pick up from those tighter spots. This is where we normally add highlights, but the Crafty collection is stylized without them, so we'll show you that technique in another episode. For now, though, we'll show some of the neat little tricks we do to add some polish to the final work. Take your flat color, your shading, and your highlights layer and duplicate them like before. You can then go to the Merge Layers option in the Layers menu, or press Ctrl and E to merge those layers. Once again, hit that transparency lock icon, then go up to your filters menu and add a blur filter. Box blur or Gaussian blur works best here, though Gaussian blur has a habit of causing file corruptions once in a blue moon, depending on the program of your choice. Once you've done that, set that layer to soft light and then play with the opacity using the percentage slider here. We usually go with 70% for many of our concoctions, but if the image contains a lot of heavily dark colors or blacks, we take it further down to around 50%. From there, we make a new layer above that one and apply a clipping mask to it. This is done in the Layers menu like so. Now anything you put on that layer will only show up on the layer it's clipped to. So we're going to use this clipped layer to apply a colorful gradient over the image to add some nice lighting overtones over the entire picture like this. Then just set that layer to soft light like before, and you're pretty much done. That's achieving me all done. So let's move on to the nurse worst bust, shall we? Wait, what? Where's the bust footage? Hold on a second, everyone. Okay, put that cable there, move this part over there, and that should do it. Technical difficulties? Ugh! Crafty, did you spill tea on the computer again?
It was only one time.
Well, I guess after that textbook screw-up, I'll just have to skip to the full-body footage. Let's take a look and see how the tips and techniques from earlier are put into practice. I'll even slow down the time-lapse a bit so you can see the process more clearly. And to make up for the lost time thanks to the lost footage, enjoy! So as we start my full body, you'll notice the other picture of me on the right there. That's the visual reference we keep alongside our drawing in order to maintain design consistency. You can also try making what's called a model sheet, like one of these. We'll go into how these are made another day, but suffice to say, model sheets are a character artist's best friend. Okay, I'm partly telling you this tip because it helps for drawing expressions, but I'm mostly telling you because it embarrasses the doctor. When drawing expressions, especially silly ones, make the face yourself and study it in a mirror as you draw. You'll look ridiculous, but your drawing will benefit from the sacrifice.
Hey, you told me you weren't going to share that tip. I made that face for 30 minutes to get that right, and this is how you repay me?
Oh, that's good Schadenfreude. Something to keep in mind as you're choosing colors from your character design. Limit your palette choices. Too many colors will make your design far too busy and the eyes won't be able to focus anywhere. Using myself as an example, I made them mostly of black, white, pink, and some varying shades of green. I should also point out my red eyes. Because of the tone, as well as being framed by its complementary color, the green of my face, it creates a contrast and draws your view to them at first glance. Isn't color theory fun? Wow! We certainly did a lot of work today. I hope this episode gave you all nice simple tips for creating your own concoctions. Don't worry though, there's more episodes coming today. Ah! Crafty? I swear if you're playing with that fuse box again for dramatic effect, I'm gonna... Oh, I almost forgot. Please browse the links in the description, everyone. There's concoction prices, ordering info, and social media links all down there. Thanks for watching.